front-end framework. In this section, I will do more discussion about what is the front end. I guess we can return back a little bit to this section. So at that time, we already did the template inheritance. Okay. So we already did the extends and include. Okay. What is the difference between extend and include? You still remember? So we have the base.html and every other HTML file can be the extension from the base. So it means the base is the first layer, and then the other HTML will be the extension. So the extension will have the content on the base. But what is include? In the case of include, we want to include the section. In this case, if we are using the base, so the base will be in the part that you put. In this case, because base is in the upper part, so it will always in the upper part of this body. So if you include this one in the below, for example here, then base.html always located in the below part. So if I run, so if I run this index, okay, if I got the today, yeah, it will go to the time. But I want to use this home index. So if you go to about, it will go to the today URL. If you go to contact, you will go to this section. If you go to user, there is still no information. There is no information about FAQ. So we will do this one today. So last time, there is one problem about the info. Okay. So what was the issue here? Okay. So if we want to extend this one, and then we want to put it in the footer, yeah. Actually, the footer here, if we just put this one, yeah, this one will not work, not as the content. Okay. So I would like to teach you in this case. So in this case, I can change. I will not use extends, but instead I will use include. Okay, this one's better. So I will use include for this one. How can we use include? Okay, I will go back to the base.html. So in the footer, okay, you know the website of our university? Let's suppose I use the, okay, if you have this one. So the footer is always about the website information or the organization of that school and etc. Okay. So for example, this include the social media, and then this include about the accreditation information, and this is the shortcut to that particular index of the website. Okay? It means this will be fixed. If you want to go to other part, okay, you will see the footer. If you go to the other section, yeah, you may see the same. Oh, not this one. So those information will be always be here in every other section. Okay. So there is one way to do that one. Instead of using extend, we can just use include. So this information always in the footer. And then the footer always in every of the web. Then I can use include. Okay. So how can I use include this one? I can put it on the page. So in this page, I would like to include the info.html. It means for every web that use base.html will have this footer. And what is this footer? This footer will use info.html. Okay. So I will try to use this one. So we will use include, and then we specify the folder name, which is index, and then we call the file, which is info.html, and this will call the info.html. This info.html only contains one line, which is all pages are about Django. So if you run this, now you can see, yeah, there is a footer. All pages are about Django. And then if you go to about, yeah, because this is about the time, so time.html do not extend. So we cannot see the footer. But you can see the footer is here because we have the base.html at the upper part. And then the below part is everything about time.html. If we go to contact, so the contact contain the outer information. And again, you can see the footer. Okay, so that's the difference between extend and include. Okay. So I hope that you understand until this one, how to include the HTML files, either using the include or extend. So there will be, you know, the problem on your mid exam to do this kind of stuff. So if you still have no clear understanding about this include and extend, please feel free to ask me. Okay. So that's about the info.html. Okay. So I can say that in the base.html, yeah, you can include one more line after the block footer. So every block footer will include the info.html. Okay. Now let's move on to the next section, which is about the front end framework. Every web page they need to have the front end. Okay. So the front end is a kind of style template. Okay. So this is another kind of template. We call it, this is the template with CSS. Sorry. So the CSS stands for Cascade Styling Sheet. It means it is about the style, and you already learned a little bit about the style. For example, you can change the font, or you can change the color, or you can change the background. Yeah. So there are many things about the style. However, yeah, design is not our domain. So in industrial engineering, yeah, you may have difficulties to make a good design. So we can just reuse what the existing design is. And the web framework for the design, yeah, there are many web framework for the design. For the basic CSS, the basic one is usually related to the body. Okay. But you need to call in the head. I can say this is about the user interface, or we call it this is the front end. So that's why when you work in the if you find the job opportunities in this kind of area, you will see front end developer, or there is also another like back end developer. So when we deal with the front end, it means we deal with the user interface. How can you make a good user interface? How can you make a convenient user interface? How can you make a beautiful user interface? Okay. So this is related with the design. Yeah, it requires a lot of efforts. And there are many different purposes require different types of website. So if you are using e-commerce like Gmarket, Coupang, so it will give you uh, a kind of experience for the user to conveniently choose the product, for example, or the customer should be able to uh, do something convenient for ordering the product. Okay, so that kind of thing uh, will be different if it is the e-commerce or government. In a government side, maybe you need to follow a kind of sequence. It depends on your requirement. If you are trying to get your driving license via the online site, then yeah, there will be a step, and it should be formal. So those kind of thing we can see from the user interface. Or if you are doing the blog, so blog is usually related with the text. And then if you want to visualize your data, of course it will be different. And also devices. For example, you want to show the web page in your mobile. Yeah, the size will be smaller than the web or the PC web. Okay? Or if you use gadget, this also will be different. If you have your laptop and your PC with big screen monitor, it will be different. And if you have your tablet, it will be different with the common PC. And also there will be a lot of issue if you have different operating systems. If you are using Windows, it will be different with the iOS. It will be different with Linux, and it will be different with the Android. So those kind of issues are related with the front end. So there are many frameworks that you can use for the development of front end. For example, yeah, the most common one is Bootstrap. So let's see one by one. So the Bootstrap is the most popular front end framework. It is free, and you can see any examples here. So if you want to use this template, like for example, you want to use this hero template, okay, then you can use it. Yeah. Let's say I want to use this sidebar template. So if I choose this dashboard, maybe this is only the example. Okay, so this is the example of the sidebar. And then if you want to custom, for example, you want to make like this one. Okay, there are many thumbnails, and then you can view something or you can edit something. Okay, so this is the template or the design that you can just reuse it. Okay. For example, this is the starter. Okay, and then you can download the examples. So it means you can get all the files, and once you get all the files, you can uh, replicate in your computer. Let's say the other example using Foundation. This is also another framework. Yeah, this is another framework for the user interface. Yeah, it mentioned that you can use with your mobile. It is customizable. Yeah, it is more professional. Okay, so there are many other uh, vendors who provide this kind of framework, and sometimes they use not only one framework, they use not only the Bootstrap, but they can combine with the other kind of framework. For example, Bootstrap combined with Foundation or with this semantic UI, and they claim that they have their own purpose. So let's say if they are using the Bootstrap, this is for the general web. If you are using the Foundation, it is for one particular organization. Or if you use this semantic UI, you can do something very easily. Then you can see like this one. Yeah, you can see the code. Yeah. So the sum of this framework, they share the code, and then you can just use the code easily in your web. So you don't need to write your code, but you can just reuse the code. Yahoo also have this kind of thing, but yeah, it may require some of the knowledge also about the Bootstrap, because some of them they still use the Bootstrap. This is the pure.css. Okay, and you can see here. Yeah, so you need to go to this particular link in order to use the framework. For example, this one, if you copy and paste this one, you can see the link here. This is the link to connect to the CSS file. So CSS is the cascading style sheet, and this file is open for public. So if you go this one, then you will see this code. So this code is available in the web, and then you can try to find out what you require for your website. And the last one, I think, yeah, there are still many. I cannot explain all the things. Okay, so you can explore by yourself what is the best user interface for you. Okay. So they claim that they are easy to use. They are active in the development. Okay. If you want to do some kind of demo, yeah, some of those websites they provide a demo website. So for example, yeah, if you go to this Bootstrap Studio, okay, you can run. Yeah, this is the browser demo. Okay. If you want to use a new design, let's say, okay, I want to make this kind of administration. Okay, so yeah, it will create automatically about this design. And then yeah, you can try to design your own. Let's say this is the card body, and then this is the span, and then this is the div. Okay, yeah, you can change with this kind of user interface, whether you want to change the column, you want to change the div, okay, and you want to change the property like the layout or the design and etc. And after you have those one, okay, you can just save this one. Okay, yeah, because it is the demo, then you cannot save this one. But if you want to get the file, okay, then you can connect to this website, and then you can save it, and then you can use it in your computer. Okay. So like this one, if you want to do the exporting, okay, so it means like you want to put in your website. Okay? So they have this kind of export destination, and then you can see here whether you want to use the JavaScript, CSS, or minify HTML, and so on. So they have those kind of functions. Yeah, this is the studio to do the design conveniently. I will not discuss this detail. So if you want to know more, then you can find the idea by yourself. Okay. Now the issue is how to select the best framework. Okay. Because there are many frameworks available, and you need to choose one. So it depends on the usage. What kind of usage do you want? So in our case, in the domain of the industrial engineering, I think the most common operation is the CRUD operation. So we need to create, we need to read, we need to update, we need to delete, and we need to do the analysis. So because we are in the domain of the data analytics, okay, so we need to do the analysis about the data, and then we need to do the visualization. Okay, so the analysis and the visualization part, we will learn more on after the mid exam. And you need to find out the open source, because some of the framework is a commercial. So you need to pay some money in order to use that framework. And then you need to understand what the software patterns they use. So you learn about the MVT concept. MVT is the model, view, and template. In some of the framework, they use MVC. It stands for the model, view, and control. So the control, yeah, is similar with the template, but there are some functions different. And then MVA, okay, so it is the model, view, and yeah, some related with the advanced one. And then the MVP is related with the pages. Okay, so it depends on the software patterns that you want to use. Okay. They usually publish in their framework website. Hosting requirement. Some of the framework they use the hosting requirement. So need I'm not sure in Korea, but yeah, in other countries or like in US, you need to set up like Google Cloud Platform, or you need to use the Amazon Web Service, or you need to use the Microsoft Azure in order to publish in the general web. Okay? So those kind of hosting requirements you need to check as well. And then you need to find out whether it is easy to install or not. So in the Bootstrap, in this Bootstrap, you can download examples, and then in the first page, yeah, you can download. It means you can use the file in your computer, or yeah, you can see this one, you can install. So if you use the npm is for the Node.js. Node.js is another framework for the web development. So you can install it. Or if you do not want to install, you can use this kind of link. So I explained to you last time, we can use CDN. So this CDN is the content delivery network. So in the content delivery network, you can just put this link, and then you can get all the resources for your user interface. So the Bootstrap now, they use this JS deliver to connect to the Bootstrap file. Okay? But I'm still using the old one. So we will see this one later. Learning curve. Yeah, you need to find out whether the framework is easy to use, and then whether you will easily learn about that framework or not. What is the core library? So you need to check, okay, if it is the pure. Okay. So what is this library? Are they using the same library or are they using their own CSS? So some of them they refer to Bootstrap, or some of the framework they refer to another framework. Okay, so that's what you need to see as well. Database abstraction. So now I'm not dealing with the database, but some of them they require you to do like the database. So maybe I will explain a little bit about data table. Okay, so it's related somehow with this kind of database abstraction. Documentation. Okay, this is important. If you want to choose, you need to choose the one that shows a good documentation. So in this case, the Bootstrap, they show these docs, okay? And then you can see, for example, I want to customize, and then if I want to see the layout, so for example, maybe component, okay? I want to use the nav and tabs. Okay, so this is the way to define the navigation and the tabs, okay? Yeah, the tabs here, it means the header. Okay? So this is the header, and then this is the code that you can use for your header. So if they have this kind of documentation and they provide this explanation, then it will be easier for you to understand. The community, this is also important because usually the framework, if they don't have the community, they will stop the production. So the community is important in this case because they need to keep improving their framework. In this case, for example, the blog. Okay? So there you can see there are many people. Yeah, this is MDO. Yeah, MDO. Maybe they have their admin to publish this one. Yeah. So if you check this one, yeah, this guy is the Bootstrap guy. So he keep updating about what is behind about the Bootstrap, okay? Because Bootstrap is an open source, so they need to survive from the community. And then the bug fix or updates. So they will also publish if there is any errors or bug. We call it bug because there are many systems that may not be available in some countries. For example, if the Bootstrap based on English, it may not work well if you use in Korean. Okay. So those kind of things, maybe they need to fix it or they will do some updates. And so on. Okay. So I put this one like ease of creating the extension of the availability. Yeah. I think I will just use the Bootstrap. Okay. If you want to use the other framework, it's up to you. Okay. But let me just explain the Bootstrap because it is the one which is popular these days. And in the Bootstrap, you will define like two things. The first is the head section, and the other is body section. In the head section, you need to connect to Bootstrap. So how to connect the Bootstrap? There are two ways. The first is to install the package. So what I explained before. Yeah, this is the Bootstrap. You can download. Okay. And yeah, if you want to download, then you can install in your desktop. Okay. Or yeah, you can install with this kind of way. We use this Node.js. Okay. In Django, yeah, you can also try to install this npm, and then after you install the npm, you can install the Bootstrap. But in that case, yeah, you need to have some space in your desktop. You need to have some space in your laptop, for example. So I do not want to use this way. In our course, I think it will be better to use the CDN, Content Delivery Network. So here I explain, in the package installation, you can download the Bootstrap and place the package in your project. If you want to do this one, that's also fine. They provide this one because some countries may not have a good internet connection. So they just download the files and then they just try to develop from the laptop without internet. That's also one of the benefit with this installation. But if you have your internet in 24 hours, yeah, you can just use this CDN. Okay. So in this case, you can just place the JavaScript in the head section. So you put the link. So you put this link in your HTML file. So we call this is the CDN, Content Delivery Network. In the body section, you will see later, we need to define the container. Okay. So when you define the container, means everything inside the container will be a part of the Bootstrap. And also we need to understand about the row. Okay. So I may not explain more about the row, but this is important to divide the cell in the Bootstrap. For example, in the one row, you may have several columns. Okay, so there are like the patterns, like the column, the row. If you want to go with that one, yeah, I think you can just take a look on the framework. So this is an example about the way to do the CDN. So we can use the CSS. So the CSS is about the style sheet, okay. And then we need to call also the JS, the JavaScript. So those two are required because whenever we do the user interface, there should be the JavaScript to handle some of the form or to handle the dynamic pages and etc. Yeah, we will learn about the JavaScript after the mid exam, but for now, maybe we can just use from the Bootstrap. Okay. In some cases, the Bootstrap may require additional plugins such as jQuery. So nowadays there are many frameworks, and yeah, I cannot discuss all the frameworks here. If you see errors in your user interface while you are using Bootstrap, then it may require an additional library, or it may require additional plugin such as the jQuery or other kind of plugin. So for example, okay, so there are many basic templates. Okay, so I explained to you about the navigation bar. Let's say this one. Yeah, this is the navigation bar. Okay, yeah, you can see this template can be generated with this code. Okay. So it means you can just copy and paste this one and put it in your HTML file. If you want to have maybe, I don't know, yeah, like this one, this template contains the search function. Then you can use this one, and then you can just use this code. Or okay, oh, this is very good. Then yeah, you can see this is about the nav bar content, and then you can just define the class. Okay, so once you change the class, then it will automatically generate like this one. Yeah, so you can take a look. And also, yeah, pattern or other kind of design in the Bootstrap, they are available with very easy modification. For example, in the button, okay, if you use the HTML file, the basic button is only button. But when you use the Bootstrap, you can include class, okay? And then let's say if you just put the btn dash primary, then it will show you directly with this blue color and the white text. If you put the secondary btn dash secondary, then it will automatically change to this gray color. If you put the success, it will automatically change to green. It will, if you change to this danger, it will automatically change to the red color. Okay, so we already learned this one from the user management in the previous PowerPoint, and so on. So it's very easy to use this Bootstrap because you can just change the class. Okay. And then the other kind of template, not only button, not only navigation. So you can also design with the other kind of, for example, card or carousel. So it means, yeah, you can change this one. This is what does it mean by the carousel. And you have the close button. Or if you want to have the collapse, okay? So here, yeah, it will open and then it will close. Or you have the drop down. And yeah, when you click, it will show the option. And then if you unclick this one, then it will close the drop down. So those kind of things, they have already the class, and you can just reuse it. Yeah. Okay, now let's move on to these examples. Okay, in this case, I would like to use this Bootstrap. I think just copy and paste this one. Okay, I will explain is of this one. Is you can modify the base.html. That means in the base.html, you have the original files before, but just replace this one. Okay? You can just delete and then put the new one. So for now, I will just use the very basic Bootstrap. You can change later with your own design. Okay, so let's just use the first one. Okay, and then let's check what happened after I change this one. If you refresh, now you can see the head. Okay, the header now is already about the new design from the Bootstrap. Okay, so you can see a little bit fancy, but not that fancy because I just used the very basic one. If you click about, yeah, you can see the difference. Now the head is always be the same. Contact, yeah, it always be the same. But oops, what happened? When you go to user management, there is no header. Okay, if I go to FAQ, okay, now I want to connect with the other application that we already created before. But the header is not here. Why? Because if you see the other HTML file, let's say this one, list quest.html. Okay, this is only the HTML. and there is no connection to the base.html. Now we want to connect it. How that every HTML should be connected to the base. So the next slide shows you like this one. Now you may have questions. How can we modify? Should we modify all, or should we modify a little bit? So let me just use this. You can just copy and paste this one for the list underbar quest.html. And in this section, we are going to extend. What we're going to extend is we want to extend the index base.html. And then the content will be this one. Okay. So you can just copy and paste. I think you're familiar with this one. So I will change. This is about the list question. The list question is the section that we already did in the first application about the FAQ. So if you run, if you go to FAQ, okay, now you have the header. Now you have the footer. And every content is inside of this one. Now, if you go to check choice, okay, so at the time we learned was check choice, oh, no header. Then it means you need to choose all the files, and then you need to put the extents, and then you need to put the block contents. Okay. Now, there will be questions. Then, professors, do I need to delete all the header? I mean, do we need to delete all the head sections for every of the files? Okay. So we have like list choice, we have list member, we have member delete confirm, we have member form. Okay. So do we need to delete head sections, and do we need just keeping the body section? Yeah, my question is, you don't need to modify that one. You can just put this one at the top of every of those files. So I will teach you. So in this case, I would like to put the extents and the block content in every top of the file. And then don't forget to put the end block at the end of the line of those files. So let's do one by one. We will go to the list choice, list members, member delete confirm, and member form. List choice, I will do the first. And then put the extents, and then put the block content in the upper part. And then you can put this one and block. Oops. Okay. So for every file, you can put the extents, and the extents will show the index.base.html. It means we are going to choose the base.html here. And then this part will be the content. And then don't forget to use the end block. Okay, you can do for every files. This choice, list member.html. Oops, sorry. List members.html. Okay, so it means you can just go down and then put the extents. Okay, put the extents in the upper part, and then put the block contents here. And then you put the end block at the last line. And then you can do also with the other file. Okay. Extend this one, and then you put the end block. Member form. You can use this extend, block content, and then end block. Okay. So for every HTML, you need to do this one. And after you finish, you can just refresh. Now you will see, yeah, the member list is already in the content of your big project. Okay. And then if you go to FAQ, yeah, the content is already in between the header and the footer. And then if you check choice, now is already in the content section. Okay. There's no answer for the second question, so you can see only the first question examples. Okay. For this user management, if you have a new member, okay, so this page will be inside of the header as well. If you want to update, yeah, it will be in this page. Okay. Okay, I think that's all for now. Any questions, comments?